welcome to Foregone Trails, guys. Today we're going to be working on fixing the rear suspension on this Jeepster. And to do that, I've got a great idea that's going to save me a lot of money, but it might be doing something the right way, the wrong way. Leaf springs. They're ancient, they're clunky, and yet somehow I still chose to use them. These things have been around since literal chariots. Fast forward a few thousand years, Henry Ford strapped them on a Model T, and guess what? We're still using them on trucks today. Now why? Because leaf springs just refuse to die. Leaf springs are the backbone of trucks, off-road vehicles, heavy-duty vehicles. They're cheap, they're tough, and they just work. But let's be real, they kind of suck too. They sag, they ride rough, and they never seem strong enough when you actually need to load them up. So today, we're taking these outdated hunks of steel and making them a little bit better by doing hopefully the right thing the wrong way. Let's get into it. First thing, let's go ahead and dive in on how I'm going to update the leaf springs. I originally went ahead and took some stock springs, installed them. They were not strong enough. I installed some 1.5-inch lift springs. Again, not quite strong enough. So today we're going to take that stock pack and combine it with the 1.5-inch pack, hopefully increasing the spring rate, keeping the lift the same height, and solving all of my suspension woes on this Jeepster in the back. So without further ado, let me show you what that's going to look like. Now, you're probably wondering, what all is it going to take to fix the leaf springs on the Crusty Commando? Well, a grinder. Yep. Safety protection. I got the ears back here. Get a little bit of that. I got a couple clamps, some leaf spring clamps. Then what I also did is I found online that if you take a 3/8 whatever type of bolt this is with the little round head here, it fits perfectly for the centering pin on the leaf springs. Now, why is that important? Well, these cost me maybe like $5, whereas a new centering pin, they're wanting anywhere from like $20 to $30 for the same thing. So I'm going to ride and see how well these work. I mean, they are grade 8. Hopefully it'll be plenty strong, and the diameter of this pin matches almost identical to the diameter on this pin. Now, that's all of the tools you need and all the kind of specialty things, but what's really hopefully going to make this whole thing work is this right here. Oh, yep, these right here. What are these? These are just a set of okay. They're just a set of leftover springs. If you guys watched that first video that I did on trying to fix the rear leaf springs on the Crusty Commando, I took these out, which were the stock, really exhausted, really tired leaf springs from the Cherokee that I pulled apart. And then I replaced them with a set of 1.5-inch lift springs that my dad gave me. The problem is, now that I put some miles on it, apparently 20+ gallons of fuel, a little bit of stuff in the back, some people, and those springs are not happy. Now, if I have no gas at all in the tank, the springs seem to be doing just fine. So really what I need is to fix the capacity problem. And to do that, what I am going to do is cut the main leaf off of these stock packs and then deassemble them and reassemble them as an add-a-leaf. And the other spring pack I have, in essence, hopefully updating the leaf spring capacity and costing me no money other than a couple clamps and a couple bolts. So without further ado, let's get this thing chopped up and let's see if we can get this thing thrown in under the Crusty Commando. Now, to prep the leaf springs, I'm going to do some really scientific work here. I've got a right angle. I've got a Sharpie. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a straight edge here right across the end, and I'm just going to draw a straight line. Now, right now, I'm just kind of guesstimating. I'm going to cut these up, and then once I get both of the leaf packs pulled apart, I'll lay them on top of each other and make sure that they're actually matching. So now that I've got that marked, let me go ahead and cut the ends of both of these springs off. So there you go. One spring side cut off. You only got to do this 3 more times. I'll save you the boredom. Let me get this cut up and then I'll show you how we're going to pull these leaf springs apart. To go ahead and get the center pin out, it should be pretty straightforward. Typically what I've been able to do in the past is you can kind of hit this top nut here with an impact gun. It'll back it right out. However, these things are now probably 20 gazillion years old, and I do not think that they are going to come out that way. So what I'm just going to do, I don't need to reuse the center pin because I do have new ones. So I'm going to go ahead, let's clamp this together to make sure that the leaf springs don't separate once that center pin's removed. Put some pressure on there because right now that center pin's holding this all together. But once that center pin's removed, we're going to need a way to slowly and securely remove or separate the springs rather. So now I've got this set up. These leaf springs are good and clamped together. I'm going to go ahead and chop the bottom of this center pin off because we are going to be reusing the main leaf spring and I don't want to ruin it. So if it's going to mess anything up, I'd much rather it be this little bitty one down here. So now we've got it clamped. Let's get this cut off. Okay guys, so there we go. That's now cut off. You can see it released a little bit of that pressure here in the middle. So now what we should be able to do is slowly release these C-clamps and it should eliminate any of the pressure on these leaf springs. So there we go. Just like that. These leaf springs aren't clamped together. So I should be able just to go ahead and remove these and this thing will be ready to go. We're going to get everything pulled apart on the Jeepster and get it installed. So let me get that done and we'll show you what it looks like getting the Jeep pulled apart. So now that I've got everything pulled off of this rear piece, I'm going to have to take these leaf spring clamps off. These bushings look really nice, these rubber pieces here. So I'm hoping to reuse some of these. And then I need to see, hopefully I can just get an impact on this and I'll just zip it right off. Get all that done, and then what I'll be doing is adding that leaf pack that I cut apart right under this main leaf in between that one and that one. And so hopefully that will give me just enough extra capacity, keep these things from inverting, totally hold all the extra weight that I have back here. So let me go ahead and get the rest of this pulled apart, and then I'll show you what it's going to look like to stick it all back together. Here's the final look. You can see, went ahead and added that additional main leaf here. So it kind of comes right to the end of that eyelet there. I think that'll work just fine. Added the stock clamps back because it was originally for 3 thick. So that worked out fine. Took the new ones, added this rubber piece to it from the other leaf springs, clamped it down so that all of them are captured. Then back here, did the same thing, reused the stock one. So, and you can see, again, just kind of ended it right there at the end. So it goes the full length of the main spring. Maybe it's too much, maybe it's too little, I'm not sure, but I thought, let's go a little overkill. Let's see how it changes the ride, make more decisions, and go from there. All right, let's move on. Originally, the springs had me sitting at about 22.5 inches to the rock rails. After the 1.5 lift install, I was about 23.25. And then adding these leaves, I was about 23.5, which really no more additional lift, just increased capacity. We've got the leaf springs put together, and in typical fashion, I did not film everything I wanted to before going out and enjoying it. With that, you might have seen at the intro, I had an oopsie out on the trail. The Jeep, the leaf springs were doing great all day. It really handled quite well, I thought. I was going a lot faster than I usually do on a lot of the, what I'd call service roads there at Crossbar Ranch. And so really, it was handling really well. I think with that, I got a little overconfident. And at the end of the day, I decided to tackle an obstacle. I said initially, I'm just gonna put wheels on it. I kind of went after it. Anyway, things ultimately ended up not going as planned. And a big part of that was the leaf springs. I spent all this time trying to update them, and it worked for the most part. I think I maybe could have added a few more leaf spring packs. Initially, I thought it was almost too stiff, but I think once I put the hard top back on, added the spare tire back on, did a few of those things, loaded it down with tools, filled up the gas tank, all that additional weight, actually the springs were still too soft, even after adding that one main leaf. But now we're at the point where the leaf springs are broken, the yoke is broken, there's a lot of damage down here. And so I have to make a lot of decisions on whether or not, like the video title says, leaf springs suck, and I need to update it and go ahead and forelink it, or if I should just try to solve what's wrong with these leaf springs. Maybe leave some comments, tell me what you guys think. I'm gonna go through everything here in a few videos from now and break down what I finally decide after I've had some time to process it. It's only a day after going out yesterday and enjoying myself. So let me show you what the leaf springs look like now, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit of something out of it. Please stick around, like, subscribe, do all the other stuff.